First-person shooters live and die by one thing. Feel the weight of the gun in your hands, the snap of the aim assist, the satisfaction of a perfectly landed headshot. And on PS5, with the DualSense controller adding haptic feedback and adaptive triggers that push back with every shot, FPS gaming has entered a completely different dimension. You don't just hear the guns anymore. You feel them. Every weapon, every recoil pattern, every trigger pull hitting differently than the last. Combined with lightning-fast load times, stunning visuals, and some of the most refined gunplay mechanics ever designed, PS5 FPS gaming in 2026 is something special. Today, we've lined up the very best of it. These are the PS5 first-person shooters you absolutely need to be playing in 2026. Games that use every ounce of this hardware to deliver experiences no other platform can match. Let's get into it.
Far Cry 6 drops you into Yara, a fictional Caribbean island under the grip of a dictator, played with terrifying charisma, and lets you build an entire guerrilla resistance from scratch. What sells this one is the sheer scale of chaos you get to cause. Strap a rocket launcher to your back, hop in a horse-drawn cart rigged with a machine gun, or call in a literal crocodile as backup. The open world is packed with side content, but it's the freedom to solve every fight your own way, stealth or full mayhem, that keeps people coming back. If you want a shooter that doubles as a full revolution simulator, this is still one of the most fun open-world FPS experiences on PS5.
Imagine Dark Souls, but instead of a sword, you've got a shotgun. Remnant 2 throws you into procedurally shifting worlds where every run can look completely different, and the boss fights hit just as hard as anything from From Software. Brutal, punishing, but never unfair once you learn the pattern. What makes it stand out is the class system, called Archetypes, letting you build a totally different playstyle each time, whether that's summoning minions or going full gunslinger. Bring a friend or two into co-op and it turns into one of the most satisfying loot-and-shoot loops on PS5. If you like your shooters with actual difficulty and real stakes behind every encounter, Remnant 2 delivers it in a way few other games do.
Here's the thing people sleep on with Warframe. This game has been quietly building one of the deepest sci-fi worlds in gaming, and it's completely free. You're a space ninja piloting a biomechanical suit, chaining melee combos into gunplay into full-on space combat, and Digital Extremes just keep stacking content on top of content instead of starting over. New players get overwhelmed by how much is packed in here, but that's the appeal. Hundreds of hours of story, open-world zones, and build customization that never really runs out. If you want a shooter that rewards you for sticking with it long-term, instead of one you finish in a weekend, Warframe on PS5 is criminally underrated.
Apex is still the battle royale that everyone else is chasing, and there's a reason it's held on this long. The movement alone separates it from every other shooter in this genre. Wall running, sliding, tackline grapples, it's fast in a way Warzone and Fortnite just aren't. Respawn keeps the legend roster growing, keeps ranked feeling meaningful, and the gunplay underneath all that movement is still some of the tightest in the business. It's one of those games where a single clutch 1 versus 3 can make your whole day, and on PS5 it runs smooth enough that there's no excuse not to have it installed. If competitive battle royale is your thing, Apex is still the benchmark in 2026.
Yes! Valorant is finally a real PS5 game, not just a rumor anymore. Riot didn't just port the PC version and call it a day. They rebuilt the aiming system around a focus mode, made specifically for controllers, so it actually feels fair against a mouse and keyboard crowd, instead of getting steamrolled. Under the hood, the game got a full engine upgrade to Unreal Engine 5, meaning it looks and runs better than it ever has. If you've never touched Valorant because you don't own a gaming PC, this is your excuse gone. The tactical gunplay, the agent abilities, the round-based tension of CS mixed with hero shooter flavor. All of it right on your PS5 controller.
Overwatch 2 is still the gold standard for hero shooters, and honestly, it's aged better than most people expected. You've got dozens of heroes, each one basically its own minigame, and Blizzard keeps throwing new modes at the wall.
Stadium mode being the biggest recent swing, letting you build out your hero with upgrades match to match instead of just picking a skin. The 5v5 format keeps fights readable instead of the Chaos Fest 6v6 used to be, and the hero design here is still some of the smartest in the genre. Whether you're a support main healing your team through a nightmare teamfight or a tank soaking hits at the front line, this is still one of the most replayable shooters on PS5 in 2026. Picture this. You're mid-gunfight, and instead of taking cover, you blow a hole straight through the wall next to you. That's the finals in one sentence. Every match is basically a live TV game show where entire buildings collapse around you, floors give way, and the map you started on isn't the map you finish on. Embark Studios built something PC and console fans genuinely can't get enough of, and going into 2026, it's still pulling in fresh seasons, ranked tournaments, and some of the most chaotic, destruction-heavy combat you'll find anywhere. If you're tired of shooters where the map never changes, this is the one that fixes that problem completely. It's free, it's on PS5, and there's really nothing else playing quite like it. If you thought Doom couldn't get more brutal, this one hands you a shield that's also a buzzsaw you throw at demons' faces. The Dark Ages takes the Doomslayer back before the events of the 2016 reboot into a medieval hellscape where you're smashing through hordes with a flail and electrified gauntlet, and yes, at certain points, a 30-story mech. id Software slowed the pace down compared to Eternal, but don't mistake that for easy. This is stand and fight, not run and gun. And if you've already beaten it, there's a fresh reason to jump back in. The Revelations expansion just dropped in July, throwing the Slayer into a whole new nightmare with a brand new weapon. This one's still one of the best pure single-player shooters on PS5 right now. Deathloop puts you on an island stuck in a single day, repeating over and over, and your job is to figure out how to kill 8 targets before the loop resets and erases everything you did. Arcane built this around actual detective work. You're tracking patterns, learning routines, figuring out exactly where everyone will be at exactly what time, then executing a plan that chains kills together like a puzzle. And there's a twist. Another player can invade your loop and hunt you down while you're trying to finish the job. It's stylish, it's smart, and it's one of the most original single-player shooters PS5 has ever gotten. If you've never played it, 2026 is a great year to finally break the loop. If Borderlands and Dungeons & Dragons had a baby, you'd get Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. This one swaps sci-fi guns for a fantasy world stuffed with dragons, spellcasting, and Tina herself narrating the whole chaotic campaign, like she's running a tabletop session gone completely off the rails. You build your own class combos, mixing melee, magic, and absurd loot-fueled guns, then blast through a world that's constantly making fun of itself. It's one of the funniest shooters on this list, but underneath the jokes is a genuinely deep loot grind that rewards you for experimenting with builds. If you want a shooter that doesn't take itself seriously for a second, this is exactly that. Black Ops 7 jumps forward to 2035, 10 years after the events fans remember from Black Ops 2, and puts you in the middle of a war against a tech giant with an army of combat robots. The campaign is fully playable in 4-player co-op for the first time, which completely changes how you approach the story missions. Multiplayer brings back the fast, fluid Omni movement, wall runs, slides, grapple hooks, layered over new maps, and a genuinely deep zombies mode with its own wonder weapons and vehicles. Treyarch built this to be the most complete Black Ops package yet, and on PS5, it delivers across every mode you'd want from a Call of Duty game.
Warzone is still the free battle royale everyone circles back to, and it just got another shot of adrenaline with Season 5 tying directly into Black Ops 7. New limited time modes, new maps, new weapons, all rolling out together across both games, which means your loadouts, your progress, and your squad strategy carry across everything. The core loop is still what made it huge in the first place. Drop in, loot fast, fight smart, survive the circle. It's free, it's on PS5, and if you want the biggest, loudest battle royale with the most guns to master, Warzone is still the one to beat.
Siege got a full reset, and it's honestly the best version of the game Ubisoft has ever put out. Siege X made the entire game free to play, rebuilt classic maps with new lighting and 4K textures, and added a permanent 6v6 mode for when you want something looser than the usual tense 5v5 diffusal. Console players now get native mouse and keyboard support too, which changes the whole competitive scene. And in one of the wildest crossovers in gaming, Solid Snake is now a playable operator. If tactical, destruction-based shooters with real consequences for every wall you breach are your thing, Siege in 2026 is in its best shape in years.
Destiny 2 just closed one of the biggest chapters in its history. Bungie wrapped up active development on the game with the Monument of Triumph update, meaning the story that's been building since the Red War finally has its send-off. Pantheon 2.0 boss remixes, reworked exotic armor, refreshed loot pools, all of it. That actually makes right now one of the best times to jump in, because the entire loot chase, the raids, the dungeons, the Trials of Osiris weekend grind, all of it is sitting there complete instead of half-finished. The gunplay is still some of the best feeling in any shooter ever made. Full stop. If you've bounced off Destiny before, this is the version worth going back for.
If you've never played Deep Rock Galactic, here's the pitch. You're a space dwarf mining alien caves for golden resources while giant bugs try to eat your entire squad. It sounds simple, but the way the caves get carved apart in real time, the way each of the 4 classes plays completely differently, and the sheer chaos of holding a choke point against a swarm makes this one of the best co-op shooters ever made. Ghost Ship Games keeps dropping new seasons packed with fresh weapons, biomes, and events, so it never really goes stale. Grab 3 friends, drop into the deep, and you'll understand why this community lives by one rule: rock and stone or you ain't going home.